Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is September 21st, 2020. We have a couple of kit releases domestically, a couple of kit releases in Japan, as well as a few little announcement slash teases, if you will. But overall, pretty quiet, especially in Japan. They are on another 4-day weekend right now. It is actually today. Respect for the Aged Day, which is when everyone celebrates their older relatives, and then tomorrow on Tuesday is Autumn Equinox Day. So I've found that doing this program over the past 6 years, I really wish I lived in Japan because holy mackerel, the amount of holidays and vacations those people get to take. They certainly take a slightly different view of not so much work, but at least getting time off of work. Anyway, first up on the kit announcement side of things, we have a couple of December releases from Fujimi. Hey, there's a name we haven't said in forever. Fujimi. Anyway, this is just boring crap because it's reissues, but hey, it's still there. So they're going to reissue their Toyota Alphard Velfire van. That's that like snap-tight kit you may recall from, I guess, 2.5 years ago now. Going to be molded in a gray metallic plastic this time around. Remember, those are those easy kits where they're designed not to need to be painted or glued because of their construction nature and the fact they're molded in very, very shiny plastic. So yeah, it's 2020 coming to an end here, and not only did we not get any new tool kits from Aoshima in terms of 1/24 scale cars, there were some 1/32 scale cars in their sort of beginner line, and they did a bunch of 1/72 scale airplanes and tanks, and they also did a couple 1/24 scale Cyber F1 cars, as they're called. It's I think it's a, I'm not sure if it's a manga or it's an actual series or a little bit of both, the way initial D is, but they're like futuristic F1 cars, and they've done a bunch of those over the course of the last couple of years, but nothing in the just what we normally deal with here. And now we have Fujimi exiting the year in a whimper here without any sign of either of those two Suzuki Jimny kits that we were promised about 1.5 years ago. So yeah. Also in this December release, you may recall we covered them a couple weeks ago, the little diorama set that has the stoplight and the crosswalk signs. They're doing one in molded in brown and one molded in blue, because apparently those are specific colors that the street signs are painted in different parts of Japan. So I assume that the decals will be somewhat different as far as the street names that it's saying and some of the more sort of localized details. But yeah, okay, so there's that. The other thing we have is a little tease from Revell in terms of their coming releases for, I'm going to guess this kit will come out this year before the end of the year, just because the box art is finalized, and in this picture it's actually shrink wrapped, which makes me think the kit is actually there and inside of it. We've mentioned it when we saw it pop up in the Japan pre-orders that this kit was going to be coming back out, but now the way it's going to come back out, probably not the way we expected. So this image here, I believe, is from Chris over at Upscale Hobbies. If not, he's the person that drew attention to it, and we just picked this photo up off of the forums, which I want to say is the same picture. But you'll notice here on the top left, you have the Chevy S10, which, again, we mentioned coming back for the first time in like 20 years. And then you look at the box art there, and it says Custom Pickup, the Street Sleeper, high-performance, 6-cylinder, turbocharged all-wheel drivetrain. Well, as being someone who has an original 1993 Monogram S10, that is not how the Monogram S10 came. Not in any of its variations, actually. I've seen a few people asking, are the Wave Rider parts in it? Are the stock parts in it? And the answer seems to be no. This appears to be that they found basically the chrome runner from the S10 kit, which has the grills, the bumpers, the S10 wheels, and things of that nature, and they've combined it with the existing GMC Cyclone tooling, which got a reissue, 7 years ago, I guess. And you have this, kit, which isn't really a thing that exists in real life. There is a prototype of the original GMC Cyclone that was built by putting the GMC Cyclone's, guts, if you will, into a Chevy S10. So it is a correct kit for that one prototypical vehicle that it was never actually, driven on the streets. But, being someone who owned a 1990 S10 and, I'm not going to say I'm an S10 follower by any means, but, I knew what was going on with S10s when I owned it. I don't recall anyone ever swapping the parts of a Cyclone into their actual S10. This doesn't appear that it's going to have the non-aspirated V6 that came in the original kit, because both kits have a 4.3 V6. That was just a shared component of the two things. Some of the turbocharger parts and things like that are in the original S10 kit, but not the entire shebang to make the engine that way. Obviously, it's a two-wheel drive, drivetrain setup in the S10. This is, again, an all-wheel drive thing. This may lead some credence, actually, to the rumors that have always existed about the S10 and the fact that they didn't know where the inserts were for some of the stuff, and it was thought to have been lost in a move from one vendor to another in China, in terms of who was storing their tooling and running their tooling, the existing tooling, not so much the new stuff. And that was always the behind the scenes excuse as to why the S10 could never be reissued, and now we're seeing a comeback in this weird format. Now, there's always the chance that maybe the stock parts are in here. The box art, the guy who built the box art, posts on Facebook from time to time. He said that all he was given is the turbocharged all-wheel drive thing to build the box art truck. All of these other boxes you see here, we're going to talk about these in a second because they just came out this week, all say 2-in-1, 3-in-1, right, for their building options. That just says custom pickup. So for people who were really looking forward to getting an actual stock S10 or the Wave Runner custom parts or anything like that, I'm sorry to tell you, but it does appear that you are getting screwed here. If you just wanted the S10 back, I guess, to build in, I'm guessing there's enough non-turbocharged parts to put the V6 together without it being turbocharged. Maybe, I'm not sure. I've had a Cyclone. I built a Cyclone when it came out, and I've not picked up a reissue of that kit ever. And so I have not seen the insides of one of those since the 1990s. I don't know that those two engines. I don't know what shared sprues they have in terms of naturally aspirated versus the turbocharged. So that'll be a little bit of a surprise when we get the box. Again, there's no date on this, but again, it's shrunk wrapped on the stack of stuff here. Makes me think that before the end of 2020 for sure. The rest of the Revell display that was at this model contest in Franklin, Indiana, south of Indianapolis, because apparently the COVID doesn't exist in Indiana, was just the stuff we've seen before. It was pretty much the folding display that's been traveling around more or less unchanged since NNL East last year. Well, not this year, because it didn't happen this year, but in 2019. So there wasn't any really, anything new other than this, S10. So I guess we'll see what the future holds there, if you will. Also, this week we saw that Nunu posted a Twitter post that they are shipping, finally, the BMW 320i touring car. That's something that has been on pre-order for some of us for nearly a year. Nothing shocking there, the way Nunu ships their kits out. A lot of that delay, of course, was BMW related as usual, but that kit is finally on its way out. I've seen the Hong Kong dates which had been pushed out to the early part of October, now get sucked back to the end of this week. It looks like they might be in on Friday. For people who were wondering how they were going to handle the Marlboro livery on that car, myself included, this is how. So, I hope you know how to spell Marlboro, because it appears here that there's two complete Marlboros, because they've been blurred out with lines through them, that pretty much I'm guessing are the hood decal and the trunk decal. And then everything else is individual letters. So you're going to have to spell Marlboro. Usually you see Marlboro split into two words, and one half of it's upside down, right? It's like Mirl and then Boro. So the L and the O sit next to each other, but the borough is upside down, so you have to like basically flip it over and turn it upside down to get it to sit right. This is individual letters, so this is a unique way to get around both the tobacco livery concern and the probably copyright involved in it. So creativity on whole new levels there. Maybe that was what the delay was. They were trying to figure out how to get around the copyright of Marlboro. But anyway, I'm happy to see that kit coming. Frankie's going to have several decals for the I want to say Gear Race Macau, but technically those were touring cars at that point. So the I'm not sure if it's World Touring technically, but anyway, the touring cars from 2001, 2002 for Gear Race Macau, and those are, I believe, one or both of them. There would be three sets, and I believe two of the three are winning cars. So there is that to look forward to. On the domestic side of things, as we mentioned, there are 3 kit releases this week, and they are the 3 releases that were just in that picture, so you ought to know what's coming here. First up, you have the 1962 Chevrolet Impala hardtop 3-in-1. I've said a couple of times, oh, this is a Foose kit, and then I realized, wait a minute, there's no Foose version of this. The 64 Impala got Foose. The 62 did not. So what this actually is the 62 Impala 2-in-1, the original like special edition kit. That was a stock Impala and a drag Impala as far as your build options, and then this adds in the California wheels version that was reissued after that. So that's where the low profile tires and the wheels come from. It's very foosy paint scheme, which is, in my defense, why I was thinking Foose, because it looks a lot like the paint scheme of the 67 Charger Foose kit. But that's your 3-in-1s there. It's a custom-ish California wheels, stock and drag. So nothing new per se. Obviously the decals are probably different as far as if it replicates this paint scheme, because that's not how it came in the California wheels version. But the contents itself, the styrene, should all be the same. And then you have the reissue of this, which is normally put up as being Dom's 71 Plymouth GTX. This is a Fast and the Furious tie-in. It does have new parts. I believe the hood is a different piece. It's not the sort of pop-open hood, the pop-open hood of the GTX and the Satellite. It has new wheels. It has obviously just some low-profile tires. I'm going to guess they're probably the same low-profile tires we've seen before in terms of, those, I don't think they tooled up the tire system, but it does have different suspension pieces to give it a slightly lowered suspension. I've heard some rumbling that perhaps the wheels in this are one of the things that's not like the other. Looks like perhaps something wasn't quite finished. And, oops. However, that is based on an advanced press release of the kit. Somebody who got one as a review. So maybe they caught that. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to, smear Revell for something they may have caught and fixed. But if you get those and they are not fixed, just, don't be shocked entirely. This is a 124 scale kit. It is based in the old monogram Plymouth Satellite that came out in like 1982, 1983. It was turned into this GTX in the mid-1990s. It's sort of a inversion of the 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner that got turned, or Plymouth GTX rather, that got turned into the Plymouth Roadrunner. This was a Roadrunner that got turned into a GTX. They both at the same time, both old monogram kits, both permanently altered, if you will, into the other thing. That's why you've never seen a reissue of the 71 Satellite, and why you've never seen a reissue of the 70 Plymouth GTX. So for those folks who are looking for something a little different in your GTX build, that's out. And last but not least from Revell this week is the 78 Chevy El Camino 3-in-1. Street stock custom. Yeah. Basically, it's custom Black Knight version, and the lowrider version are what you get in here. I think this is the first version for quite a while that's had the little bed topper to it. I've not seen that in the previous several releases. But otherwise, the parts here should be pretty much what you're used to. The Black Knight decals, I don't think were in any of the previous El Caminos. At least I don't remember them being there. But the foreground one that's burning out with all of its 305 horsepower, or 305, cubic inches there, rather. horsepower being probably about 120. Yeah, that's the custom version, and then the street version, the stock version, is the Black Knight one. It has the steel wheels and everything you sort of associate with a 78 El Camino. And then of course the lowrider version, which is the most recent version of this that's come out. Now the lowrider versions have always carried the stock parts, but they've not featured them prominently. But that is what, 2012 or 2014 was the last time the lowrider came out. So 124 scale kit. Obviously, it's a old monogram kit again, and yeah, that's it for the U.S. side of things. Overseas, again, we had 4 releases. Again, quiet because of the holiday. Over Aoshima, so just some restocks here. The 74 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTX. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 Rally Art Edition. We always recommend you purchase one of these if you need a left-hand drive, because it is the only Evo 10 that Aoshima did that has left-hand drive wipers and left-hand drive dashboard. It's basically 3 parts. I don't know why they won't include them in anything else. It must be a licensing thing with Mitsubishi. But the Mitsubishi, there was a 07 version of this Evo 10. There's an 09 version of this Evo 10. There's that final edition version of the Evo 10 that they did that represents like the 2015 car. There's the C West Street, the C West Race, and only one that has left-hand drive in it is this Rally Art. I like the wheels in this. I like the Rally Art thing in general. I'm not sure that when I actually ever get around to building mine that I'm going to put the Rally Art decals on them, or at least all of them. But, it's, again, significant for U.S. folks or North American folks or folks outside of the UK, Australia, and Japan who drive on the proper side of the street, that this is the one way you get your left-hand drive. And then lastly, from Aoshima is the reissue of this. It is what is known as the Fairlady 280Z Special. So this is not an actual Aoshima kit. This goes back to another company that in Japan that is no longer with us, died 30 years ago, called Nando. And they did a couple 3 280Zs, and one of them was this racing version. You should look at the box art. Inside of it, it's all, a renewal of this kit. I believe it was actually tooled in 1977. If you're familiar with the Aero Custom version of their Fairlady Z, this is nominally worse in terms of its details. Now, the body seems to be okay, but this has a motorized chassis. It's got the old style, what I call bump and run steering. If you don't know what that is, that's where you had a motorized car that would go straight until it hit something, and then it would turn its wheels one way or the other, usually turned them to the left, and then it would reverse for like 5 seconds, and then it would take off straight again. Has that style front suspension setup, although I believe that it's been fixed where it doesn't steer anymore. The rear axle has the whole engine carrier, the electric motor carrier. There is a battery box engraved into the chassis to hold a AA battery, which doesn't do anymore because the contacts and all that don't come with the kit, but a big old battery box and hole in the bottom of your model kit. That obviously gives you a very simplified interior. It's definitely a 5-footer shelf model if you want to build it. It's not going to be terrible, but it's not going to be at all the most detailed version of a 280Z that you could get. So know that going in. Know the age and the condition of the model. Not saying that it's unbuildable or it's this, that, or the other thing, but just I've seen a few people get some of these older Nissans that have been reissued by Aoshima in the last couple of years, and or some of the older Toyotas as well. And it's a box of disappointment to those folks because they don't watch this channel enough, I guess, but they don't know what they're buying, and then they get this very, very simplified, crude, if you will, sort of motorized toy model kit. And it's like, oh, hey, this is pretty bad. What happened here? It's like, well, the kit's from 1982, and that was what model kits were in Japan in 1982. So this is from 1977, so it's even older, and it's not Aoshima's tooling to begin with. So again, know that going in. Last but not least, we have the release of this. Technically, it's a reissue, but it is a very, very modified reissue. As this 1989 Intertech Division 3 Champion car for the Advan liveried Corolla 11 AE92. So you may recall they just issued a brand new tool AE92 Corolla 11, and this is the racing version of that. So new wheels, new tires, new front bumper, new grille. I believe the hood's different. Or if it's not, then I think the hood is different. I think the hood has the cotter pins molded into it, and the factory stock one does not. The rear wing is different. There is a fuel cell for the rear trunk area. You do have to cut that out. I've not looked at my 11 that I got, the factory stock one, to see if that's pre-scored into that one or that's a different top part of the tooling insert, because the body itself should be the same. Different front suspension. I believe it has a different front suspension. At least it has a skid plate. It has a racing exhaust underneath. Obviously, the interior is gutted out, stripped, and the roll caging has been added. It's a very cool little engraved piece for the rear deck that very nicely simulates that stripped out sheet metal package shelf back there, which is a nice touch. A lot of times you just see that as just being a blank piece of styrene back there. This has like engraved texture to it, so that's very cool. And again, like I said, this builds you your championship vehicle for the 1989 Japanese touring car Division 3. There were 3 divisions back then. Division 1 was in 1989 would have been your Skyline, your Supra, and things of that nature. Division 2 was all pretty much all BMW M3s, E30s, and then Division 3 were all the 4-cylinder cars like the Civics and the Corollas and things of that nature. So this was I believe it actually won its division in the Intertech race, which is the last race of the season, and it won the championship as far as the drivers go the whole way around. So that is out there for you folks who are interested in it. It is a slightly different kit than the Nunu or BMAX A92 that represents a 1988 car. There's a slight difference to the grille, slight difference to where the fuel fillers go. So, nice to see them pick something that's a little different. Represents just something slightly different. It's not exactly the same kit like this upcoming Mitsubishi Lancer 82,000 Lakes Rally is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to leave you with the information that we are a few days away from the release of this from Alpha Models. It is their upcoming Aston Martin Dbs Super Legera or Super Lega or Super Leiur. I don't know. I'm sure my Italian spell checker will be along shortly. They tell me how to pronounce that. But you get 2 sets of wheels with this. This set of sort of twisty 5-spokes and a set of more traditional 5-spokes, but it is another $180 Alpha model for people that are, big spenders who are interested in this. First Aston Martin, really, other than the 2 race cars that oh geez, the name was there and it was gone. It's the Profil 24. So it's the French company. Profil 24. Also, Model Factory Hero did one of a little slightly earlier version of the Aston Martin, the doing Le Mans GTE cars. This is the first, obviously, street Aston Martin we've gotten since the DBS from Tamiya back in 2007. I've seen somebody trolling Alpha models because I guess, I don't know, it took them too long to get them a model, a resin piece or something like that. Because, why would you respect the fact that coronavirus originated in Wuhan, where Alpha Model and Hobby Design are located? Because, we should just be kind of happy that the Alpha Model people were still alive, let alone whether or not they were shipping quickly enough. When there was nothing leaving Wuhan at all, other than the virus. But yeah, so this was something. There's 2 Aston Martins coming. There's another one that should be along. Probably, I don't know if it's going to be out at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But it's based. Everything's based on the same wheelbase. Actually, 3 Astons rather, coming out of Alpha, and they should have all been out probably months ago. But again, delays. And yeah, I mean, I'm riled up for it. I've definitely got mine on pre-order. That's again, some people trolling the Alpha folks because these are too expensive, and I guess those of us who buy these kits are highfalutin or whatever. But so, well, I'll just go find the Tamiya one. I'm like, well, go find the Tamiya one then. It's out of production. It's not the most impossible thing in the world to find. It's certainly not $40 like it used to be, because it's the price on them has gone through the roof for some reason. But you're also getting a Aston Martin Dbs from 2007, and that's 2 generations of Dbs ago, and not all the same car. So I don't know what you're trying to prove by being a total troll on the forum or the interwebs, because that was a Facebook post. So Anyway, guys, that wraps this one up. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We got the notification at the end of last week on Friday that they're going to start sending our children back to school. Now, we had sort of expected that at some point they were going to have a hybrid model where they would go to school for a couple of days a week and be online educated the rest of the week. And they said, oh no, we're sending them back full time. Now, what has happened here locally, without getting into a whole bunch of politics and whatnot, is that some federal judge, I believe in Philadelphia, declared that a lot of the things that were done in Pennsylvania back in March and April when the state was shut down were unconstitutional. I'm assuming that that was a violation of my federal rights. I was not aware they were being violated because I was just trying not to die at the time. But yeah, so that meant everybody seems to think that that means that all of the state's mandates are unconstitutional, including the current one about the limits of the number of people you can put inside of a building. And the people who you sort of kind of trust to have their shit together as terms of school administration and people who went to school for long enough to have doctorate degrees and things like that all went, oh, well, there's no limit on people in the building. All right, back to school you go. So, yeah. I mean, I'm thrilled because I don't have to, you know, get up and stay up all day and sort of. It turned out that the online schooling really wasn't that bad of a thing. Once my kids at least got into it, they were able to get themselves where they needed to go. They were able to get themselves into class. Of course, kids are very technologically adaptive, like instantly, it seems. And I think for us, the 40-year-old Gen X people, we were too back in the day. We were like, oh look, America Online, Prodigy, and oh what the World Wide Web, poof, and in we went. So it's not surprising to see the kids adapt to that type of technology very quickly. A lot of the parents and the teachers were not quite so quick on the uptake. But it really turned out to be not that bad of a deal. Once they knew what they were doing and understood the concepts behind it, it was just a matter of them logging in, watching some stuff, taking some quizzes and tests and things like that. But they are, both my kids at least, are thrilled to be going back to school. They're sending back the youngest kids on Wednesday, and then next Monday they're supposed to send back the whole elementary school, and then I guess the middle school and the high school go back later after that. But I don't have any kids in that, so I'm not really too concerned about it, in its whole entirety. So we will hopefully be able to survive for more than like a week before somebody, coronaviruses the whole school out. But in the meantime, so that's our good news for the weekend, right? Or potential good news or potential disaster. Again, all depending on your viewpoint. So waffling on, as Mr. Bretland would say. So I'll leave you with that, and we'll see you guys on the other thing.